Head coach Pete Carroll showed the world his O face on Thursday night.
I'm gonna come.
He almost reached full climax as kicker Daniel Carlson missed the game-winning field goal. And unfortunately, Pete Carroll was left with blue balls as the Raiders and the Seahawks tied in the opening preseason game. We thought Geno Smith would get a warm welcome in his old Seattle home, but instead he beefed with his own former fans in true NFL fandom fashion. Raiders backup quarterback Aiden O'Connell might have to start his acting career and maybe audition for Super Troopers, as Tom Brady's hand-picked quarterback in the 2025 draft, Cam Miller, showed everyone that it's Miller time and he's ready to take that QB2 spot. Football is finally fucking back. I am your host, Wi-Fi Willie, walking you through this magical evening that happened on Thursday night, just in case you were too busy because you have a real job. So unlike Geno Smith, Pete Carroll had a warm welcome as he returned home to the Seattle Seahawks, an organization that he coached for nearly a decade. You can see him here hanging out, having a handshake with Blitz, the mascot, embraced by the fans, embraced by even former players and coaches. It was a great evening for this guy. But Geno Smith's welcome was not so warm. And let me just say, we've seen this guy beef with Seahawks fans before, even when he was on the team. Last season, when the Seahawks lost to the Minnesota Vikings, you had fans chirping at Geno Smith, and he decided to chirp back. And he had to be held back. So you can see it there specifically. Fans talking trash on Geno Smith. Why didn't we win the game? And Geno getting absolutely heated here, having to have staff say, hey, man, just move on, just move on. And we sort of saw history repeat itself. You had a Seahawks fan hold up a sign here when Geno Smith and the Raiders were coming out of the tunnel in the beginning of the game saying bigger bust Geno or Jamarcus Russell. In case you don't know, this fan is somehow comparing the veteran Geno Smith to one of the biggest busts in NFL history, the #1 overall draft pick of the Raiders, Jamarcus Russell, a guy who eventually became severely overweight to be a quarterback, pushing 300 pounds, and got a little wrapped into that purple drink while he was an Oakland Raider. And at first, I thought Geno Smith avoided these guys, but now we got uncovered videos showing what happened. I also want to point out you had another fan here, another Seahawks fan, heckling Geno Smith and had this sign which reads, "Geno will lead the league in drop back sacks again." So this is, to be fair, a die-hard Seahawks fan who literally knows that Geno, probably according to PFF, led the league in drop back sacks. But Geno Smith and Max Crosby right here responded to these heckling fans by giving them a dirty bird, not a Seahawk, a true dirty bird. Flipping them off, Geno and Mad Max together. And that's how you show some camaraderie. That's how you show that the team is trying to stand in solidarity with one another. Geno not afraid to flip these freaking dudes off. And Crosby's like, you know what? I'm going to join with this guy. This is my guy. This is my QB. Let's go. And unfortunately, Geno fans or Geno haters weren't able to roast each other because the guy only had 3 passing attempts. They took him out after one series he barely played. Another guy who barely played was Ashton Jeanty, and you saw the NFL social media world flipping out because this dude had -1 yards off of 3 carries, 0 touchdowns, obviously in his first preseason game. And now everybody's saying, drop this guy from your fantasy football team. Don't draft him. Go ahead and don't draft Ashton Jeanty after that performance. I'll go ahead and take him later on in the draft if you're going to pass up on him. Because not only did the guy barely have 3 carries, a small sample size, but the offensive line of the Raiders really did him no favors. There was nowhere for this guy to go. The defenders instantly in the backfield, and Jeanty did not have a chance. And unfortunately, we did not get a chance to see his talents on display because of the incompetence of the Raiders offensive line. And now you have expert NFL analysts like Robert Griffin III, the former Redskins quarterback, saying that Ashton Jeanty needs to go back to his old stance because of these 3 carries in a preseason game. Maybe that's the reason why it didn't work out, because he's crouching slightly besides standing up.
They decided, you know what? We're gonna make him change his stance. So they made Ashton Jeanty go from standing like this in the backfield to making him stand like this. Now this might not seem like a huge difference. and I understand that fully. But God, let this man be him.
And I'm sorry, this is just bullshit analysis. The guy had 3 carries in preseason, and there was absolutely nowhere for him to go with the football. That's like saying after you get your ass whooped in a fight, hey, maybe if I would have worn no socks instead, things would have turned out differently. And unfortunately for the Raiders, with their first team defense on the field, the Seahawks were able to run down their throat. You saw Holani get a huge touchdown early in the game, and it felt like there was absolutely nothing the Raiders defensive line could do about it. And it seems like the absence of Christian Wilkins is having an impact on the Raiders starting defense. This guy was a great defensive tackle, and the Raiders released him because he was kissing teammates on the forehead, getting complaints from HR. But it seems like the Raiders really need this guy, so maybe it was worth it. Maybe it was worth it to let Christian Wilkins smooch a couple teammates if that means that the Raiders have a better run defense. I think maybe they should have kept this guy on the team. You know what? I'll take the sacrifice. I'll take the sacrifice. I will let Christian Wilkins smooch me as much as he wants if that means that my Raiders have a better damn run defense. But the Seattle Seahawks social media team started to rub it in. George Holani and Jeanty went to Boise State together, and you had the Seahawks team allegedly post this and delete it, saying some people are out here saying George Holani is the best running back out of Boise State. Just rubbing it in that Jeanty did not have a spectacular debut. But George Holani better watch himself, because Marshawn Lynch beast mode was not having this guy bumping into him, not looking where he's going after scoring a touchdown. Beast mode with the freaking elbow saying, get the hell out of my way. I am trying to take some pictures, some beautiful photographs of this wonderful Thursday night preseason game. And maybe based on the Raiders' poor rushing attack in the first half, maybe beast mode could sign up and come back to the silver and black. Perhaps we could use this guy. But there were some positive moments for the Raiders last night, like when Drew Lock, the Seahawks quarterback, the guy who started the first half of the game, ended up throwing an interception near the red zone to the Raiders safety Isaiah Polamau. It was an absolutely beautiful interception, and it was the first pick thrown of the game, and it felt like, hey, maybe this is going to be a good night for the Raiders, until backup quarterback Aiden O'Connell decided to say, hey, hold my beer. I could throw some more picks than Drew Lock. The first interception thrown by Aiden O'Connell at the top of the second quarter was so disappointing because it looked like it was going to be absolutely electrifying. The guy was loading up, chucked it deep to Dante Thornton, the 4th round pick, the guy that everybody's been raving about, because this is a rookie who runs a 4.340, even though he's 6'5". That is something that you just rarely see in the NFL. And unfortunately, when you see this ball thrown, there's an opportunity. Thornton has his defender beat, but he has to come back to the football because the ball is severely underthrown. You're able to really see just how underthrown this ball is from Aiden O'Connell. You could see Thornton got the guy beat. If he throws it just a little bit further, you could see it's going to be an easy touchdown, but unfortunately he's got to come back to it and then play defense, and then he got an easy interception. You actually had a Seahawks beat reporter refer to it as an arm punt, and that was obviously not the last interception by Aiden O'Connell. Later on in that same second quarter, trying to make a play on 3rd down, tries to hit the out route to Alex Bachman, and then boom, an easy interception. Just did not see the defender there, and the Seahawks got the ball in great field position. This was very disappointing for Aiden O'Connell because it seemed like he had the QB2 spot on lock, especially given the fact that he started a few games for the Raiders while they're dealing with QB injuries and issues over the past 2 years. But his job now could seriously be in jeopardy, and I would not be surprised if he either gets traded to a new team or eventually cut by the Raiders when they make those 53-man roster cuts. Aiden O'Connell is a bigger guy, not mobile, sort of a statue in the pocket. Reminds me of Big Ben, but the only problem is he doesn't have the arm strength like Big Ben, and you saw it there on that first interception. What's even more hilarious is because Aiden O'Connell was a part of that random victory where the Raiders beat the Chiefs on Christmas in 2023, despite the fact that Aiden O'Connell did not complete a single pass in the 4th quarter, Raiders fans still revere this guy because of that night. And you even had a local Raiders beat reporter before the 2024 draft, when you had Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, these guys all drafted in the 1st round. This dude wrote an article claiming that he spoke to an NFL executive that said that Aiden O'Connell, if he was in the 2024 draft would be worthy of a top 10 pick. He would be drafted above JJ McCarthy, above Bo Nix. Apparently, he's a top 10 pick according to this local beat writer. That insider executive's take really did not age well after that disastrous performance in this first preseason game, but a guy who did shine and take advantage of this opportunity was none other than Cam Miller, the quarterback out of North Dakota State University, who Tom Brady actually endorsed for the Raiders to select in the 6th round. Remember, this is the first year where Brady's paws are really all on the Raiders roster, given the fact that he has John Spytek now officially hired as GM, somebody who's a friend of Brady for several years. So Brady endorsed this guy, and he magically showed out on Thursday night. Now, to be fair to Aiden O'Connell, Cam Miller was going up against the backups, but he went 6 for 7, had 76 yards and a touchdown. And early on in his first drive, you saw him do that great pump fake leading to a touchdown, helping the Raiders get back in this football game. And really, he could have had a comeback victory. He almost orchestrated a game-winning drive. He had an amazing pass to the sideline, helping to get the Raiders in field goal range. And if it wasn't for the blocked field goal at the end of the game, where Pete Carroll got his blue balls and we got to see his O face, if that wasn't blocked, we would be ranting and raving even more about Cam Miller's performance. So the fact that Aiden O'Connell was not drafted by this GM, remember, he was drafted by the Josh McDaniels regime, and the fact that Cam Miller is pretty much hand selected by Tom Brady bodes well for him becoming the QB2, and I'm anxious to see how Miller does in this upcoming preseason game against the San Francisco 49ers. Will he get some reps with the 2s instead of the 3s? I hope so. Yes, the Raiders defense struggled in the first half, but you had another former Seahawk make some plays of his own. Jamal Adams was seen on the football field converting to linebacker, making tons of tackles, and this guy was pretty much one of the few bright spots on the Raiders defense. Remember, this guy is a Pete Carroll acquisition. You could probably tell that he pounded the table for him. He was the one who had the Seahawks trade multiple top draft picks for him to grab him away from the New York Jets, and you see that 2020 Pro Bowl, 2020 All-Pro, 9.5 sacks, and now Pete Carroll has convinced this guy to play linebacker for the Raiders, and it might actually pay off given how well he performed against his former team, the Seattle Seahawks, although I will admit, against backup. I will admit on the Seahawks side of it, they look like they're in good hands. They had tons of great playmakers on offense. Horton at wide receiver had an amazing game, and Jalen Milroe, the 3rd round pick quarterback, showed off his mobility against the Raiders backups, making some great scrambles at times. This guy was able to go 6 for 10, 61 passing yards, 38 rushing yards, and you gotta wonder, our team's gonna regret passing on Jalen Milroe, the former Alabama quarterback, who the Seahawks were able to, in my opinion, steal in the 3rd round. The guy did not look completely ready, but it seems like most likely he will be the successor to Sam Darnold out there in Seattle in at least 3 years. I think that is unfortunately inevitable for Mr. Sam Darnold. So if we wanted to super overreact to preseason, we would say that Ashton Jeanty is already a bust. Jamal Adams is going to be a superstar linebacker, and Jalen Milroe is going to take Sam Darnold's job this year. That would be the preseason overreaction. Unfortunately for us NFL fans, we know that preseason is not that interesting, and we still have to wait all the way till September week 1 for anything to truly matter on the football field.